Hello everybody and welcome to this contact webinar on well-being. Welcome to this contact webinar. If there's a technical hitch, please do bear with us. And those of you joining by PC, laptop, tablet or smartphone should now be able to see this screen. As there's so many attendees, you'll all remain muted throughout. Please use the question mark icon on your webinar toolbar to ask any questions, and then towards the end of the session we'll make sure we've got time to answer them. So today's webinar will be live on the Contact YouTube in the next few days, and it'll be searchable. You'll get a link to the recording, so don't worry about us having to send this PowerPoint or having to write any notes. And it'll also be on social media. It's a lasting resource. And I'm really pleased today to be able to deliver this session. We've got a whole hour together, and it's really important that you get something out of this. This is all about looking after yourself. And actually today you need a medal for working out the technology, for surviving the stress of coronavirus, for all the additional anxieties of bringing up a disabled child, homeschooling and more. So sit back, relax, make sure you've got a cup of tea or a glass of water, I've got both, by your side, and enjoy this session. This is all about understanding about stress and how it affects you. It's going to be about identifying new ways of coping with stress and reducing your stress levels. Hopefully you're going to feel motivated to try new stress busting ideas until you find the right one that fits you. It's also recognizing a little bit more about yourself and where you are now. So if you had a 0 to 10 and you thought about yourself and where you are at the moment with your stress, and 0 was when you're feeling really down and 10 is feeling really good about yourself, have a little think and see where you place yourself on that scale. I'm actually feeling about 5. My father sadly passed away a couple of weeks ago, so I think my stress levels have been really up and down. So I'm about 5 at the moment. Think about also your strengths as a basis for building self-confidence and self-esteem. And what would be really great by the end of this session, if you all commit to giving yourself some me time. And the 5 steps to well-being are: keep learning, be active, give, connect, and take notice. And here we have the Clark family in lockdown. So a little bit about me. I'm a contact parent associate and I'm a trainer. I have 6 children, and so I do know what it's like bringing up children in a world that disables our kids. I had 6 children under 9, so I was like very used to sleepless nights, appointments, form filling in, and all the challenges that face us who have got disabled children. All my kids came home during lockdown, apart from one son who's actually on the computer there on FaceTime, and he's in Thailand, and they all came to give us some extra support as we didn't have any personal assistance coming in. Now, the best piece of advice that I got from anyone on my journey was that this is a marathon. Don't run out of steam at the beginning. So look after yourselves on that journey. And today is about you. It's about how you feel about yourself and how that impacts other people. It's more important for us to feel good about ourselves because it impacts our children as well. It impacts about how our children feel about themselves and has a knock-on effect on their well-being too. So today is about you. This is your time. And take a moment to appreciate how awesome you are. Yes, you. And what I'd like you to do is think about one thing that you feel really proud of during your time in lockdown? And just take a minute just to reflect on this. One thing that you've done really well during your time in lockdown. So for me, it was juggling work and supporting my daughter and having food on the table, actually. So that's 3 things really that I feel really proud of. What did you feel really proud about? So fight or flight. Stress can be actually really good at times, and it can be bad. Without this brilliant ability to feel stress, humankind wouldn't have survived. Our cavemen ancestors used the onset of stress to alert them to potential dangers, such as a saber-toothed tiger. When your body goes into a state of stress, we may feel slightly agitated, we may feel aggressive towards others, and this can be due to our body's natural reaction being in fight. It can be a helpful reaction toward our predators, but in unnecessary situations, it can have a negative impact on relationships and ruin reputations. It can also, when you go into a meeting and you get all your anxiety goes up and you go into a fight mode when you really had hoped that you'd be in a diplomatic negotiating and have those reactions. It can also mean that we're grumpy. We can stomp around in anger. And yeah, it can ruin our reputations. Some of us actually avoid our stresses and remove ourselves from a situation instead of tackling it. And this is a sign of the flight survival instinct. This function can save our lives if we find ourselves in a dangerous situation. However, in everyday life, this natural instinct can lead to a stressful situation escalating and increases our stress levels when we realize that the stressor isn't going to go away and we need to face it. Unknown by many, there's actually a 3rd mode that stress can cause, which is freeze. For some people, becoming stressed sets the stage for dysregulation. The energy mobilized by the perceived threat gets locked into the nervous system and we freeze, we tighten up. This response sometimes reveals itself when we breathe. Holding our breath and shallow breathing are forms of freezing. The occasional deep sigh is the nervous system catching up with its oxygen intake. Physically, our body changes as well. And if you have a think about what happens to you in your stomach, your heartbeat, your respiration rate increases, it's really important to recognize and understand our responses so that we can actually anticipate the triggers and look for ways that we can calm down and relax the body. The challenge is when our body goes into long-term stress, which has a detrimental effect. It can have a detrimental effect to our health and eventually cause a burnout and a breakdown. When the blood flow is going only to the most important muscles need to fight or flee, this actually means that our brain function is minimized. It can lead to an ability to being confused, to not thinking straight, and it's a real hindrance in our whole work, our home life. And here we have, you can tell about when you're actually feeling too stressed, your fatigue, you become exhausted, you then go into an anxiety and a panic, anger, and results in a breakdown. What causes us to be stressed? Financial worries. And over COVID, plenty of times where we've either been on furlough, we haven't been able to work, we've had added expenses for our children. Work causes stress. Our caring, some of us might be doing full-time caring over the pandemic. It has an impact on our relationships, not just with our partners, but with our children, with our friendships. Our children can be affected by our stress. It can affect their sleep, their behavior, their education, how they relate to us. Big major upheavals in our life, such as divorce or unemployment, moving house, illness, bereavement. And then we have a very sad puppy who feels undervalued, your needs and role unrecognized. And this can lead to frustration and resentment too. And dealing with the challenges of bringing up a family, little Miss Busy, juggling everything, full-time carer, being judged if we're not working, and being blamed. And of course, we've mentioned coronavirus, the huge impact, that sense of living in danger. I know for me, right at the beginning, I was so anxious. I was getting paranoid about everything. I was reading how many deaths a day. I was watching BBC News all the time. My anxiety was really, really high. How does stress affect you? Think about how it affects your health, your mood. Does your behavior change? Your confidence, your self-esteem? Do you feel depressed? Do you undereat? Do you overeat? Can you sleep? Can't you sleep? Is it a motivator? Sometimes it can be a really positive thing. Sometimes people get more done under pressure. Have a think about how you cope with stress, or do you cope with it? What sort of coping mechanisms have you developed? And these are like our own survival skills. Do you cope in a positive way or a negative way? Do you smoke or do you do exercise? Do you do exercise or do you drink? Stress reduction in all situations is essential for your holistic well-being. Downtime for self-care and me time rather than avoiding any valuable me time. So many people say, I've got no time for me. But actually, it's about prioritizing the tasks. It's about having some preparation and planning. So you're not always stressed, not always late. We're always doing things. We push ourselves to the limit as carers. We're all human beings, but actually we need to change into be human doings. We need to think about how we can stay more in the present. Especially during COVID, all the routines are different. And how has that affected you? Praise yourself. Think about how you have coped. We said at the beginning, think about something that you're proud of. Be kind to yourself. The degree of stress and how we cope with it depends on many things. It depends on our own physical health. It depends on the quality of our interpersonal relationships, our friendship circles, the people we know in our community. The number of commitments, we have a huge responsibility. It feels like we're always pushing something up a mountaintop. We carry other people's worries. We carry other people's responsibilities. We've got dependents. We've got expectations. Also, it depends on how much support we actually have. People with strong support networks, which is family, friends, being part of religious organisation or other social groups, report less stress and overall improved mental health in comparison to those who feel more isolated. So things like social media and our friendships are really important. Support, as you can see, it literally carries us through. With my father's bereavement, we've had a lot of support, and that literally it's carried us through to this next phase. Also, the number of changes and traumatic events that have occurred in our lives impacts how we cope. And our background, our own cultural backgrounds, how we were parented, our home environment, all has an impact on how we cope. There's so many emotions on how we feel about being parents of disabled children. And there's emotions that hold us back, but there's also emotions that take us forward. Feeling happy, feeling confidence, our own self-esteem. Say to yourself, I deserve it. I deserve to be active. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be helped. I deserve me time. Carers are all amazing people. We do so much for other people. But sometimes we forget to actually ask for help for ourselves. For me, if somebody sends me a text and they say, "How are you?" it always takes me by surprise, but I'm usually the one that asks other people, "How are you doing? How's it going?" But to actually turn that around, it takes me by surprise, but it also makes me feel really good. We're usually at the bottom of our priority lists, with no thought or opportunity or deserving feelings that I need to be on the top of that list. And the truth is, you do deserve to be at the top. You should be a priority. And when you think of the aeroplane, we have to fit our own oxygen mask on first before we help other people. We all need time to recharge our batteries, otherwise we'll run flat. It's like that marathon. We need time to look after ourselves, otherwise we'll run out of the energy and we'll never get to the end. Where is your me time? We're going to be looking at that now. So our 5 steps to well-being is connecting, keeping learning, taking notice, giving, and be active. And these things can really help you feel more positive. They help you reduce your stress, improve your physical and mental health. And it's about getting the most out of life, enjoying life. Remember, your role as a parent carer is really important. You deserve this. You are important too.
Let me introduce you to the stress bucket. The bucket is you, and the water is the stress that you face every day. Sometimes that stress might just be a little trickle, but other times it comes thick and fast. Now, everyone only has so much capacity, so at some point the thing is going to overflow and you are going to be overwhelmed. But what if I told you that every time you exercise, it's like doing this? When you make time to see friends, it's like doing this. When you make time to rest, and meditation, and relaxation. So even if the stress keeps coming, as long as you have enough small self-care habits, the bucket will never overflow and you'll never have to get overwhelmed.
I think that's great. Yeah, connect with others, not just electronically by text or Facebook, but pick up the phone. Actually have a call. I've been Zooming friends throughout COVID, and we've been even having Saturday nights with other couples, arranging that and just meeting up with people, speaking. It's been really difficult, hasn't it, being isolated and not seeing people. Video conference, or better still, talking face to face, arrange a meetup. Now that things are less restrictive, I'm meeting up with my girlfriend who I used to walk with on a morning with our dogs. So we've been meeting at 6:30, so socially distancing. So arrange a meetup. It does feel good. Give yourself permission to disconnect or reduce time with those that bring negativity. Sometimes you've got to say no to others and say yes to yourselves. I think of it as like you've got your drainers and your radiators. Your drainers are the people that just suck your energy and don't give anything back. Your radiators are the people in your life who do give you something, who do make you feel good. So think about actually getting rid of the drainers and having more people in your life who are the radiators. There's strong evidence that indicates that feeling close to and valued by other people is a fundamental human need, and one that really contributes to functioning well in the world. It's clear that social relationships are critical for promoting well-being and for acting as a buffer against mental ill health for people of all ages. So with this in mind, try to do something different today. Try to make a connection. So talk to somebody today, give them a call instead of sending an email. Speak to somebody you haven't spoken to for ages. Ask somebody how their week's been. and really listen when they tell you. Put 5 minutes aside to find out how someone really is. If possible, take time each day to be with your own family, like having a fixed time to have dinner, or book time, or film night on the sofa. We've got Saturday nights that we all curl up on the sofa and put a Netflix on. Arrange a day where you haven't seen somebody for a while and meet up. And like we said, make the most of technology and stay in touch with friends and family. We've been having Sunday Zooms with our Scottish family who are actually spread out all over the world. We've got family in China, and we've got family up in Inverness, down in London, and we've been having regular Zooms with Granny Scotland, who's based in Edinburgh, and she's met up with us every week, whereas normally she wouldn't be seeing us for perhaps twice a year. So yeah, think about how you can use the technology to meet up, especially if you live far apart. To the middle, and then over to the other side. Your head and your ear towards your shoulder. Look up diagonally, and I can feel that pulling right here. And in fact, it's making my fingers tingle. And look down and back into the middle. Now that only takes a minute to do. So you can do that first thing in the morning. You can do it whenever you're starting to feel stressed, or you can do it in the evening. There's so many online classes at the moment as well. I did a yoga class that was online, and that was been really, really positive. It doesn't have to be intense for you to feel good. It can be slower pace, like the walking that I do. Endorphins are the ultimate feel-good chemicals, and when you exercise regularly, your brain produces these, and they also help to relieve pain. Once you start pumping out the endorphins, exercise no longer feels quite as hard. And also, the endorphins help to calm fear and anxiety, thereby making you feel more tranquil and at peace with yourself. It's no wonder that studies show that exercise helps to boost self-esteem and a sense of well-being. Remember that it's critical that you pick something that you enjoy, because then you've got a better chance for long-term commitment. So if somebody said to me that I should go swimming, and I should go swimming a couple of times a week, that would be a really big no. I really don't like swimming. But if somebody said, meet me for a walk and we'll go into the hills, that would be a definitely yes. So think about something that you actually enjoy, and it doesn't have to be a big deal, and it's just one step at a time. Keep learning. Why not learn something new today? Find out about something that your friends or colleagues are doing and sign up for a class. Read a book or the newspapers. My husband gets the papers on a Saturday, and we have the papers all spread out on with our kids, making sure we don't spill cups of tea and drinks over them. And my disabled daughter loves to read the Guardian magazine, and Tim Dowling is a really funny journalist, and we read out on a Saturday the Tim Dowling page to her. Do a crossword, draw, paint, bake. A lot of us were baking or trying to bake during the pandemic. Our sourdough never worked. Research something you've always wondered about. Look about online classes. It's a great time to be looking. There's so much there. And take away the focus from being a carer and onto you. And I'm really bad at that, actually. When it comes to anything new, it's not really new because it's usually about disability. But it's actually thinking, I'm not going to look at something about disability. I'm not going to read Twitter or look at something that I already am involved in, but something that's different, that's for me. Set yourself a goal and a challenge, like learning a new language. That's something that's going to help build confidence, and at the same time will help you deal with your stress. And giving, kindness. It's so important. I used to drive my kids mad because I would say to them, tell me one kind thing you've done at school today. But individuals who report a greater interest in helping others are more likely to rate themselves as happy. Committing an act of kindness once a week over a 7-week period is associated with an increase in well-being. Be part of your local community. Think about what you can get involved with. It could be your parent forum, could be a parent support group. Our family are very involved with our local refugee community. We've actually been a host family to refugees and asylum seekers for the last 6 years. And at the beginning of that, when we offered our spare room to our local refugee centre, people said that we would get much more out of it than we could possibly give to somebody else. And we have. It was life-changing, and it's brought so much into our family. Think about being kind for a friend. I took a bunch of flowers round last night to a friend who's got cancer, and it was a bit of an effort. I'm not used to going shopping. I was nervous about going into Tesco's, and I went and hand-delivered the flowers, and it did feel like it was really good. And she texted me afterwards and thanked me. Give your time, like I've said about doing volunteer work. If you don't have time to volunteer because we're so busy with our kids, try to do someone a favour. It could be something really small, like just knocking on the door of a neighbour and asking how they're doing, or doing the shopping for somebody elderly in your neighbourhood. We had a lot of difficulty, as many people did, with getting on online shopping. And one of our neighbours was amazing, and he would text us every couple of days and he'd say, what do you need from Tesco's? And I would just message him with a list. And for him, he was really, really pleased to get involved and do that act of kindness. Donate your skills and experiences to the parent support group. Declutter and get rid of your unwanted things and give them to charity. Live in the present. We're so busy either worrying about the future, planning things, planning our appointments. But here and now is very important. Take some time to enjoy the moment and what's around you. And so we've just got a few ideas for this. Being aware of what's taking place in the present directly enhances your well-being and savors the moment. It can really help you reaffirm your life priorities. The heightened awareness also enhances your own self-understanding and allows you to make positive choices based on your own values and motivations. Give yourself permission to slow down and take notice of the world around you. Take notice of your own body, your breathing, how you're feeling, your posture. Here are a few ideas. Get a plan for your workspace, your me time space. Take a different route on your journeys. Take notice of how your friends, family, or colleagues are feeling or acting. Have the clear clutter day, which is what I really, really need to do. Visit a new place and practice mindfulness. You know, with the walks that I've been doing at 6:30 in the morning since COVID, from March to now, I've been really aware of the countryside. We're lucky enough to it's just a 10-minute walk and we're near a river, and the changes in the countryside and being aware. So we've had the bluebells, we've had the daffodils, we've had the different seasons. Now we've got the blackberries. The river was very, very full this morning, and it's just noticing and just slowing down. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. Today is a gift. That is why it's called present. I'm just trying to get this. I hope this works. You'll have the link. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you could see it properly. There's some really good ideas there. Mindfulness. is about savouring every little moment. That picture there is absolutely beautiful, isn't it? We live in such a fast world that we rarely get the opportunity to really look around us and be in the present. So look at that picture. What do you see? What do you smell? What are the colours? Think about the sun on our faces. Feel the heat on our bodies. When we're outside, what does the breeze feel like? How does it feel on your skin? What do you hear? Bird songs, noises. Next time you're out, take a moment to live in the moment. When you're washing your hair, slow down. How does it feel? Soft, wet, warm, hot water on your head. Enjoy the massage, creamy lather, bubbles. Take a second to smell the sweet. Enjoy. Chocolate. When was the last time, not that you ate chocolate, but when was the last time you savoured it? When was the last time you held it in your mouth and tasted it? We gobble our food down. Next time you're having a meal, or when you finish this webinar, get something to eat and actually slow down, taste the food in your mouth, feel what it's like. Fresh bed linen is one of my favourite things. It's nothing like clean, freshly washed, off from the washing line bed linen. That's the wonderful thing about staying in a hotel, is that crisp, fresh linen. Young children are actually the experts on mindfulness. They naturally do it. They wash their hands, they remember every little bit, they play, they enjoy the bubbles, they splash, they taste, and they smell. All of these activities can bring a calmness to your mind and change the focus to the present. So slow down, enjoy the moment. Ooh, and there's that chocolate. You'll be dashing off to the shops after you've seen this. 2 key things to remember. Your self-esteem, your inner strength, your self-image and confidence are all interrelated. By developing one of them, you strengthen and develop the other. And the 5 steps to well-being in your life will increase your self-esteem, they'll increase your confidence and vice versa. And like we said at the beginning, how you feel about yourself impacts all the other people that you come into contact with. It comes from the professionals, the meetings you go to, your friendships, and like we said, about your children. Self-confidence is affected by how you think and believe people see you. The more confident you feel about yourself, the more other people will believe in you. Mapping your strengths, we're always putting ourselves down. So have a moment to think positively. Commit yourself to acting positive. Things will get better. Your inner voice with all those negative thoughts, change it around. Change it to, I can do this. I will feel better about myself. Promise yourself that from now on, you will never ever put yourself down. Never say the word can't, or say that what you want is impossible, or tell yourself you're incapable of learning something new. It's just the opposite. Stop comparing yourself with others, and social media's got a lot to blame for that. No one is better than anyone else. We're all different. Invest in yourself. You are worth it. That regular pamper, that nurture, the head stretches now and again. Make the most of your personal appearance as well. Not easy during COVID. It reminds you that you deserve the very best. Commit to behaving more confidently, having a better posture, standing straight. Keep your back straight, look people in the eye, speak in a clear, unwavering tone. Confidence comes from inside. This is hard to do, and yet we do it with our children. But when it comes to ourselves, it is more challenging. Make a list of your personal qualities. Think about the things that you do really well. Think about the skills that you've got. Don't be shy. Ask somebody else what they think about you. You'll be surprised that they've got a list of your personal qualities already. And all this is about is our time for me. If you don't make yourself time, then who else is going to make time for you? And a word that's so small but really difficult is the word no. Practice saying no. Teach our kids to say that as well. Who should you say yes to? And should you actually say yes? Keep your chin up and practice being confident. It'll make you feel really good. But after you finish here and watching this webinar, write down 3 positive sentences about yourself. Starting with, I am. I am a great mum. I am a great cook. I'm an excellent organizer. I'm a really good listener. So for me, I think I am a really great mum. I'm really proud that I feel that I'm really kind, and I'm really a positive person most of the time. So that's a little bit of homework for you. When you finish this, grab your bar of chocolate or eat a biscuit really slow and write down 3 positive things about yourself. It could be about being human, about being really funny. You perhaps are a motivator, a confident person. You could be really creative, artistic, safety conscious. What we want is to have more of the IAMs, I am, than the I am not, because that brings you down. Tips for dealing with stress. Decluttering, getting rid of the drainers, throwing things out. Distancing yourself from people or friends who are negative and stressful, have a definite negative impact on your life. It's easier said than done, particularly if it's your mother-in-law. Leave a job or something that you've been unhappy with. Say no to it. Eating right is so important. They say we are what we eat. Think about changing your diet if you're eating too much of the wrong things. It's like retraining ourselves to eating right. Reduce our caffeine, give up smoking, eat plenty of fresh fruit and vegetables, and cut down on those saturated fat, sugary foods and salt. We feel better about ourselves when we're eating well. Cleaning out your wardrobe, your garage, the attic, your toolbox. We had a skip actually at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were getting rid of so much stuff, and it did feel good. We can actually get into the garage now without tripping up over anything. Recycling the stuff that you don't want, and we've talked about giving stuff away to charity. It really clears your mind space. Other tips for dealing with stress: do things to relax before bedtime and try and get some rest during the day. Develop your own good bedtime routine. We're trying to do it all the time with our children, but actually our bedtime routine is very important. What time do you go to sleep? What are you doing before you go to sleep? Are you on your Facebook? Are you on your iPad? Think positive. Be determined, feel optimistic. Use your imagination. Be enterprising and motivated. Be happy, encourage others and encourage ourselves, and think strong. If you surround yourself by positive people, this also introduces you to positive thinking. Develop an attitude of gratitude, saying thank you, being appreciative, sending cards to other people. Start to write a journal, a gratitude journal to help you. And don't think bad about doing nothing. It might be just what you need. Soak in a lovely hot bath or have a nice hot shower. Read a good book. Breeze through your favourite magazines. Watch your favourite TV programme and listen to music. I do remember in the early days when my kids were so small that we rarely had the radio on. I was always too busy trying to listen out for the next cry or the next shout for mum. Pamper yourself. Do a bit of reflexology. And we've talked about a little bit about yoga and meditation. Learn to breathe properly. And breathing is so important. It's what we do so naturally, but some of us do it quite badly. Breathing, if you can recognize where you're at now, just take a few seconds and just hold yourself and think about your own breathing. If you can breathe in a deep breath through your nose and breathe out through your mouth, and breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And if you can do that and recognize when your body's really tense, when your stomach's churning away, and when your heart's beating rapidly, and you just take a few seconds before you enter that meeting, before you're about to do something that you know is going to cause you stress and anxiety, and you can just take a couple of deep breaths. Maybe it's that you need to go to the toilet or something just before and take a few breaths. That's us running out of energy, feeling low, feeling down. We need a bit of a wind up. Tips for dealing with stress again. Have fun. When was the last time you had a really good laugh? Have you got a friend that you could give a ring to, you know, that makes you laugh? Watch something funny on telly. Learn to laugh at yourself and your shortcomings. Develop a circle of support with others, friends, other carers, friends and family. Laugh with your kids, play a silly game, go out and do something daft with them. Develop your time management. Being late or stressed about getting out and getting the kids in the car, and you're panicking and your anxiety is way high and your blood pressure's up, that has an impact on your children. Your children will also be acting stressed as well. But actually, if you leave 10 minutes earlier and get a little bit more organized and your time management skills, you'll feel a lot more calm. Your kids will feel calm. You are their role model. Your kids can read you like a book. They know when you're anxious, and of course they then feel anxious. But if you're calm, you've taken a few deep breaths, they'll feel much calmer and feel better about whatever it is, wherever you're going. Be good to your friends and your family. You need them. Don't take them for granted. Don't complain about what they do and don't do. Ask for help. That's what we had to do with our neighbour, and he was so pleased to be able to help us. Sometimes we're a little precious about our tasks and sharing them, but that's okay. And learn to say a gentle no. Take yourself out of your own comfort zone and try new things. Change your daily pattern and make the most of me time and nurturing yourself. Shower every day. Invest in yourself and your appearance. Put the lippy on, put the high heels on, put a jacket on. I always find that putting a jacket even over a pair of jeans makes me feel a little bit more smart, a little bit more in control. Lose weight gradually if you need to, over a period of about a year. And then there's the getting fit, which builds confidence and self-esteem. Trial and discovery. Think about what you are going to do to start reducing your stress in your life. When you finish here, you've got a little bit of homework to do, which is eating your chocolate slowly. It's writing things down about I am and what you're good at. But also have a think about what you're going to change in your life to reduce the stress in your life. How are you going to stop? The secret is to try and identify which tips work just for you, and then you gradually build them into your daily routine. So things like the breathing, the simple neck stretches. Have fun. And I hope you have a great day after you finish this webinar. Try as many things that we've suggested over the next few weeks. And then practice them daily until they become like part of you, part of your habits. Suddenly over time, you'll feel they're just part of your life. Positive habits that you will not want to do without, as they add to your holistic well-being. Set yourself realistic targets, not like I'm going to walk 2 hours every day, but something that you know you can achieve or you'll feel worse. It is small steps, and then it becomes part of your daily routine. Sometimes you just need to remind yourself that taking time for me is not selfish, because we are brought up to think it's a bad thing to have time for yourself, and it makes us feel guilty. But remind yourself that taking time for you is not selfish, it is absolutely necessary. And remember, this is a marathon of a journey. There's some great organisations out there to get in touch with if you do feel you need some extra support. For me personally, my friends are my big support, and that connection, especially with parents of disabled children, through Facebook, through my friendship circles, they're people who really, really understand me. If you need just extra help, there's all these organisations, Mind, Respond, Sane, Turn to Me, Samaritans. NHS has a really good website with a list of helplines and where to go. And of course, we've got our contact and our helpline. And if you need a little bit of extra support, somebody will ring you back. I'm not sure if there's any questions. Oh, I've got the questions. How do you deal with the survivor guilt? Watching the news and seeing the numbers who died, but I didn't. Also, my illness caused my daughter untold stress, and I caused that to her. Oh, it was difficult. It's been really difficult watching the news, and I can totally relate to that, seeing the huge numbers of people. I think really that's about being in the present and appreciating what we have now, not feeling bad, and that's the negative thing, but actually thinking, right, I am here, I'm still here, I'm going to make the most of this, because I could have been one of those, but I'm going to turn that around and I'm going to make the most of my life. We never know what's around the next corner, and I think COVID's really taught us that. I think one of the things also is to avoid things like watching the news and those dreadful numbers, but turn it around, try to push out the guilt, throw that away. I hope that's helped. And I'm so sorry about the illness causing your daughter untold stress. It has been a stressful time. You are not alone. There were many of us who were feeling stressed. If others have a harder journey than you do, but they are friends who understand about your life, how can you unload your worries to them when you know their life is probably harder than yours? I think that's about honest conversations, being truthful and being open to other people and saying, yeah, I am having a hard time. It's really difficult to do that, isn't it? But I think that sharing and that commonality breaks down a lot of our own barriers, and it makes us more transparent, and people do appreciate that you've been able to open up to other people. So do talk to other people. Tell them when you feel that you're down, when you've got a problem, and you'll find that people just respond to that in a really positive way, because you would very likely do that for your friends. You wouldn't want them to hide anything that they're feeling. So be open, be honest, listen to your body, tell people when you need a bit of extra help. Thank you for those questions, and I hope it has been helpful. I hope this session for you, and that you'll leave here today feeling a little bit more positive about yourself, more confident, and it will have, I can promise you, a knock-on impact. And thank you to all you awesome people for listening in. Contact will send a short questionnaire at the end of this webinar, and please take time to complete it as it helps plan future events. The recording of this is going to be available in the next 2 weeks. Well, actually, it's the next couple of days. And look out for news about this on our homepage and our social media networks. So yeah, you are absolutely awesome. You made it here today. You've watched this webinar, and good luck. Good luck in making a difference to yourself. Thank you, and thanks for being here.